Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something super exciting to check out again. We've got ourselves another of these brand new Lulu's Customs and Classics figures, as we've got ourselves a juvenile Ultimasaurus. Now, it doesn't get much cooler than that. If you are a fan of the Chaos Effect line from Jurassic Park, you're definitely going to enjoy this one, because it's the very first time I've seen anybody take a stab at creating a juvenile version of this dinosaur. And what is cool is Lulu's Customs and Classics actually has an adult version as well, which I do have here to review for you guys very soon. But obviously, if you are looking at this, you may not notice what the color scheme is. This is the Night Hunter version. He did give me the option of getting the regular colorized version or the Night Hunter version. I went with the Night Hunter one because I actually have a few Ultimasaurus now in my collection with the regular standard color scheme, but I don't have any Night Hunter versions, so now we've got at least a juvenile and an adult, actually. But you can see the figure looks great. Again, he has done a very good job of sculpting this out, while again giving it a bit more of a lifelike look, but still remaining faithful to the original prototype style. Again, you can just see elements of the original toy in this, along with, of course, the more lifelike, look and feel of the figure, which is just crazy cool. So I'm extremely excited to take a closer look at this. Let's jump to it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt, look at how nice that head sculpt looks. That is absolutely a phenomenal looking head sculpt for a juvenile Ultimasaurus. And what I love is you can just see the elements of this being a juvenile as opposed to an adult. You can see that, again, there are just some slight differences between what you would see with an adult version. Obviously, the frill is a bit smaller, the horns are a bit smaller, so he's just done a really good job of giving it those juvenile sort of elements. And you can also see, again, we've got the nice black tone for the upper part of the head, and you can see that we also have a nice purplish tone for the lower jaw, as well as some orangish browns here for the underside of the dinosaur. So he's definitely given it quite a bit of variation of color. We can see the mouth is sculpted in an open position. We've got the teeth very nicely sculpted as you move through the side of the mouth and everything. You can also see they're nicely painted with a white tone. And again, you can look at this figure and you can just see how he has so perfectly applied pretty much every inspiration you could think of with this figure when it comes to giving it, again, that lifelike look as well as the toy-like look. Because if you look at the figure, again, you have those solid black tones. You've got the solid white tones for the horns and everything, as well as the teeth. But then when you move back here, you have the nice purplish tones, and the purplish tones also include a dark wash, which helps to highlight the overall detailing and skin texture, and also just add a little more depth to the paint job. And same thing for the underside of the dinosaur. So I feel like it is that perfect mixture of like an ode to the original toy as well as a more realistic interpretation of the dinosaur. You can see the eyes are painted with a white, and again, that helps to give it that very creepy Night Hunters type of a look. As you move back here into the neck, you can see a little bit of kind of like some armor up here on the top of the neck, and you can also see as you lead down here, you have quite a bit of tensing to the neck here in the side. Obviously, the dinosaur has its mouth in an open position or slightly open. So it kind of gives it the look like it's about to kind of, come in for a bite, and we can see the neck tensing as it does so. There are a few osteoderms poking up here and there. You can also see a little bit of, a hang there in the throat region, basically the throat itself of the dinosaur. As you continue to move down, you've got the very nice, very muscular arms of our Ultimasaurus. And as you lead out into the hands, of course, you've got those very creepy hands. And there's just something about like really long fingers that just disturbs me. I don't know why. Like, if I look back to different dinosaurs in the Jurassic franchise that have had that sort of thing going on, like the velociraptors in Jurassic Park, every time I saw their arms when I was younger, I always felt like they looked so alien alien with the very long, thin arms and, long, thin fingers. And that's the same feel I get for the Ultimasaurus also when it comes to the Scorpius Rex as well. So there's just something that, in my opinion, is pretty creepy about fingers that long. But he has, again, really nicely sculpted them out to replicate what an Ultimasaurus should look like, especially when it comes to a juvenile form, especially, again, taking inspiration from the original toy. You can see we obviously have the purplish tones leading out here, the white for the nails, just like we see up there in the horns and the teeth. As you move up here into the stomach region, you can see kind of like the rib cage right there, and you can also see that that dark wash is making sure to pop all of the details on the figure as we move through. Also up here on the back, you have that armored look for the Ultimasaurus. Again, pretty much like that classic look to what you would expect to see on the back of a dinosaur like this, again, a hybrid like this. As you lead down into the leg, you've got the nice muscle definition moving down. You can also see that he has painted out his own JP stamp on the side, which is awesome because nothing screams classic Jurassic to me like the JP stamp. Something I honestly wish that the Mattel line had. I just, for some reason, have always been so fond of that, and I love the fact that he has included that on this Ultimasaurus. As you move down, you continue to see the muscle definition with the calf muscle nicely bulging right there. Again, the darker tones also highlighting all of the detail. As you lead down into the foot, you can see the foot sculpt also looks nice. We get the white for the nails. You can see that sickle claw over there. You can also see how the dinosaur is walking along, and this foot is picking up off of the ground. Only the toes are currently touching, which is really nice. And yes, we do have dew claws, and of course, he's painted them, which is a great thing. As you lead up here again into the tail, you can see leading out through the course of the tail, we continue to have that armored look to the top, as well as the skin texture here on the underside. You can see we also have the purplish and orangish tones, like a very dark orange tone running along the underside. It begins to taper away, and you can still see the purple here as you lead out to that club-like tail for the Ultimasaurus. But once you're out here, you can see we have a black, and just like with the other aspects of this, again, giving it that juvenile-like look, you can see that the spikes that you would normally see on the end of an Ultimasaurus tail haven't quite grown in all the way yet, so obviously they're very small. I just really love the doses of realism that he's given this figure, again, to make sure it has that perfect juvenile look. And then, of course, you're going to see almost the same thing on this side. You can see the head is pretty straightforward, not too much in the way of like a turn in the neck or anything, which means that that head sculpt is going to look excellent on this side like it did on the initial side. Same deal when it comes to the tensing of the neck as you move back. The fine detail in that area looks really good. Obviously, we have, again, the throat here on the underside. The arm is in almost the same position, so it doesn't look like it has a whole lot of difference going on over here. We can see, again, the rib cage as we move back. The leg is taking a step though. This foot is planted completely as the opposing leg is picking up off of the ground, which definitely looks really good. Again, you've got all of the variations of blacks and purples that we've seen through the entire figure that just makes this thing so nice looking. It just really stands out. Again, like a purple on a dinosaur, you wouldn't expect to work so well, but it really does when it comes to the Night Hunter version of a Ultimasaurus. And again, we lead back here into the tail. You can see a really nice curve to the tail, like a slight curve as it kind of leads down and then kind of comes back up. And then we've also got the underbelly here, which also looks really good. Again, you've got all of the variations of like the orangish tones and stuff here on the underside. So when it comes to an Ultimasaurus, at this point I've got a very cool stylized version from Art Toys. I also have the Siret Tech modern remake of the original, and I have, thanks to Lulu's Customs and Classics, a direct clone pretty much of the original Ultimasaurus, but I definitely didn't have a juvenile before, so again, another extremely cool addition to my collection, that is for sure. As far as a size goes, for our juvenile Ultimasaurus, from the beak that we have to the tail, about 8¼ inches, or around 21 centimeters. And then for a height, the highest point is definitely the back of the frill. You are looking at maybe a hair over 3¾ inches, or again, a hair over 9½ centimeters. For a size comparison, There is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Dilophosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our Ultimasaurus. And you can see it's not huge, and considering it is a juvenile, you wouldn't expect it to be, or at least I wouldn't expect it to be. So I feel like it is a very nicely sized figure that is right there in the size range I honestly was thinking it would be. Then for another comparison, we have a Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus, and I think here's where you can tell roughly what the size is. I actually didn't even realize how close I put that Dilophosaurus. It looks like the Ultimasaurus is chowing down on its crest right now, so I guess that's the end of that Dilophosaurus. But you can see it is actually a very similar size to the Mattel Raptor. Better proportions and stuff. It's obviously got a longer, more natural length for the tail and everything. So it's a little longer than a Mattel Raptor, but very similar in size overall. And then when it comes to a comparison with the original Ultimasaurus, again, the one that Lulu's Customs and Classics had created for me, again, it is a direct scan of the original prototype, obviously printed out and painted by Lulu's Customs and Classics quite a few years back, but you can see roughly what the size is of this juvenile next to it. The juvenile, I guess you could technically, consider it in the same size range as, potentially being a juvenile of this version, but also, I love the fact that Lulu's Customs and Classics has sculpted this one out completely from scratch, as they are now doing with all of their figures, and given it his own style on top of everything. But you can see roughly, if you have a copy of the original or the original itself, you can get a pretty good idea of the size of these two next to each other. So this brand new Lulu's Customs and Classics Ultimasaurus, the juvenile Night Hunter version, is a really cool figure. Definitely another figure from him that I am entering into my collection with pride. This thing is super, super cool. And again, it's really nice to finally have a Night Hunter variant of an Ultimasaurus, because it's something I didn't have previously. And he's done a great job on this, again, especially when you look at the sculpt and the likeness of the dinosaur compared to the original prototype. He's done a great job of recreating this, where it obviously has the throwback inspiration of the original, as well as a more modern, updated look. You can very clearly see he's given it his own personal charm, his own personal touch. Again, sculpting it out in a way where it absolutely looks like it could be a juvenile on top of everything, where we've got like the different proportions and stuff that obviously give it that juvenile look as opposed to an adult look. And I'm so excited to actually get the adult in here and review for you guys as well, so I can compare this one with the adult and show you that comparison also. But again, the sculpt is extremely well done. Overall, it looks fantastic, but when you get nice and close and you look at the actual fine detail, that as well looks great. And on top of that, he's given it a nice walking pose where it looks extremely menacing. It definitely looks like it is out to cause trouble, and that's exactly what I would expect from an Ultimasaurus, which is pretty much a freak of nature, again, due to it being a very strange mix-up of numerous different dinosaurs. I could see it potentially hating its own existence and looking like it's just out to wreak havoc, but he's also, again, painted this really nicely, where he's given it that sort of lifelike look with the various tones of color, while also still having a throwback to a toy-like version. So overall, again, he is absolutely killing it right now with these figures, and this one is yet again another awesome addition to his line. And it also, just like with the Scorpius, stands really beautifully, like it has excellent balance. So if you are interested in this, just like I said with the Scorpius, I will include a link in the description to his eBay store once it is up and going. It is not quite yet, but it is about to be. And as I also said in the Scorpius Rex review, when the store is up, I will announce that in a news video just to let you guys know. In case you don't come back to check this later, you will know then that you can head on over there and get a hold of some of these awesome models. So make sure you do that, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.